to the Erotic Realm, where we explore the psychology of darker desires. I'm Em, and if you're new here, welcome. The Erotic Realm podcast has been growing rapidly, and I just want to take a moment to acknowledge all of you, especially those joining us from Substack. Whether you've been here with me from the beginning or just stepping into this world, I'm thrilled to have you here. This podcast is an extension of my work at Psychology of Desire, where I dive into the science and symbolism of the erotic mind. Here, we move beyond surface-level discussions of kink and sexuality. We explore the why behind our desires. Each episode, we step inside the erotic realm of someone who has ventured into these deeper, sometimes darker spaces. People who have found liberation, transformation, or even healing through their desires. By exploring the personal experiences of BDSM practitioners one by one, we break down the myth and dive into the reality of what it means to be a kinkster. So whether you're here out of curiosity, self-exploration, or a drive to understand the erotic mind on a deeper level, welcome. You're exactly where you need to be. Now, I've been mentioning on recent episodes that I had a project that I was about to launch, and I'm excited to announce not one, but two new projects with you today. The first project is the Erotic Realm Confessional. This is a live, on-location, mini version of this podcast. I dreamt up this idea and imagined taking the podcast to live kink events and interviewing kinksters while they are immersed in the kink world in a confessional-style setup. I'm thrilled to announce that the Erotic Realm Confessional has been accepted to Oz Kink Fest in Melbourne this October, and I'll be setting up a private booth where kinksters can anonymously share insights into their erotic psychology. To make it happen, I'm raising funds for recording equipment, travel, and creating a beautiful, welcoming space. As a thank you for donating, your name will go on the confessional wall at the event, and you'll be personally thanked in a special episode recorded live from the festival. If this is a project that excites you and you'd love to be a part of it, you can find the donation link in the show notes. The second project I'm sharing with you today answers the question: have you ever wondered if you have similar erotic dreams to other people? Well, we're about to find out with the Deep Desire Project. The Deep Desire Project is a global research archive collecting erotic dreams and fantasies to map the inner terrain of desire across cultures and identities. I'm super excited about this as it brings together my background in sleep science with my love for erotic psychology. So in short, this project aims to be the largest archive of erotic dreams in the world. If you'd like to be part of it, go to psychologyofdesire.com or visit my Substack, Psychology of Desire. I've also left a link to the project in the show notes below. This episode is brought to you by Captive Collars, my go-to for elegant, discreet, and deeply symbolic DS jewelry. My partner and I both wear pieces from them daily. I wear the rose gold princess crown with a captive lock. It's subtle, beautiful, and undeniably mine. They wear the gold hex key on a wheat chain. It's masculine, sleek, and quietly dominant. You can use the code The Erotic Realm 10 for $10 off any order over $50. And check the show notes for my personal discount link that auto applies at checkout. Honestly, it's the best day collar I've ever worn, and I'm not taking it off. Not that I can, without my partner's help anyway. And now, let's jump into today's Erotic Realm. Following is a conversation with Sergio, a 43-year-old bisexual man, celibate for 4 years, and currently navigating the world of BDSM as a slave. But this isn't just a conversation about submission. It's about reclamation. Sergio is a former cult member And his story is a raw, powerful look at how shame, control, and disconnection can shape erotic identity, and how kink can become a path back to the self. We talk about what it means to be a slave after having been spiritually enslaved, how celibacy sharpened his self-understanding, and why reclaiming his desire now feels defiant. This is one of those episodes that goes deep into trauma, into service, and into the soul of erotic psychology. At the time of this recording, Sergio was still on his journey of reclamation. Since then, he tells me that he has entered a healthy and loving DS relationship, a beautiful next step in his unfolding erotic life. Enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Erotic Realm. Today I'm thrilled to have with me Sergio. Welcome, Sergio.
Hi, hello. Pleasure to be here.
Lovely to have you. So let's begin by getting a feel for your erotic realm. How would you describe your sexuality?
It is a very broad words, and it is a very hard thing to describe in a few words. I would say.
Take as many as you like.
I will try. I will try to resume and speak about my sexuality the best I can. So, since young age, I've had interest in exploring sexually in a deviant way, so to say. Where I come from, there's this very retrograde, closed-minded society that is embedded mainly because of religious beliefs and traditions. So it is very difficult as a child to be limited when it comes to sexuality, because you should do this, you should do that. And I think for most people in a situation like that, it makes them want to explore more and be mischievous and do the wrong thing. And that's how we learn. I've learned that I'm very open sexually, and I consider myself to be bisexual because I have pleasure engaging in sexual activities with both women and men. So I may differ one from the other in several aspects, but I still like them both. So that's how I describe my sexuality, I think.
And have you always identified as bisexual, or was that something that you realized as you became older or later in life? Because I understand you're 43, correct?
I am 43, correct, yes.
Yeah.
I figured that out when I was 18, 19, and I had a very demanding girlfriend, and she was a bit of a bully and adventurous. She, I think it was first adventures that brought those kind of things to light to me. Is when we were kids and we do all these strange things. So I had, when I was 5, 6 years old, I had a friend of mine I used to spend some weekends with, and she had this fetish. I wouldn't call it a fetish, then I just thought it was really strange. I'd go to her house because our parents were friends, and they'd be talking in the front room, and me and her would be playing. So she had this game consoles. I'd ask her to play, and she always said, "Yes, you can play as long as you do a little bit of what I want." Okay. So we'd play a bit with her dolls, and very soon after, she'd be asking me to pull her hair, like really strongly. I always found that really strange and funny. And today I look back at it and I see behavior that is somehow connected to this lifestyle. The desire to do things that feel somehow wrong to the normal society, but it feels right to be doing it in that moment with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Either it be more sexual or not, it is still very interesting because uh, the same way this girl was doing this with me when I was 18, 19, I had a girlfriend, and she would burn my pubic hair. She would make these horrible pranks on me and have a laugh. She's a bit of a bully.
Mm.
And one time she tried to convince me to have sex with men, and so I did. And since then, I've became bisexual because I actually enjoyed it, and it was probably a life-changing experience in a way. It saw me see sex more openly and differently because no longer was just focused on one gender, but I had everyone could explore with me sexually, and that was really good for me.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of your sexuality, you describe yourself as bisexual. What about your kinky sexuality? You mentioned pulling a girl's hair when you were young, and then when you were a young adult, you mentioned being bullied by your partner. That suggests to me that maybe you're a switch, but from my understanding, you identify as a slave.
I do identify as a slave because
Okay.
I had another life-changing moment
Tell us about that.
in 2012,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes into a spiritual theme, which I'm not so sure you want to speak about, but it is to do with spiritual beliefs and all that.
Yeah, we can
But
chat about that if you like.
since 2012, my kink path has taken a complete different uh, turn, and it's gone straight forward since. Before 2012, I could say I would explore freely.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my relationships and experiences I've had with people was always as a submissive, mainly always as submissive. When I was younger, I did have girlfriends, and I didn't have a proper knowledge of being dominant or submissive. We were just kids playing, being playful. Maybe sometimes I was a bit more dominant, maybe I wasn't. One thing I know is in my childhood, I was quite dominant. Even though I was passive most of the times, so it is what a lot of people called top from the bottom.
Mm.
Uh, that's what I did all my childhood, uh, and it led me to grow a very egotistical side of me and selfish. And for someone who wants to be submissive, that is not very helpful, I believe, because it is fighting against something we don't believe. So I want to be submissive, but I've built all this ego and selfishness about me, and it didn't quite work out.
Mm.
Only after 2012 did I start to realize and see my mistakes and the things I needed to change. And slowly I did, and today is a completely different matter. I would consider myself just submissive, or in this case, as a slave, because that's what I've been for the past 10 years.
Okay. Can you tell us what the difference for you is between a submissive and a slave? Why do you identify more as a slave than a submissive?
That is a very good question. So
Mm-hmm.
each person is entitled to their own opinion,
Mm-hmm.
but it is a fact that there is somewhat of a difference in those two words. First one can be, I mean, they can be both traced to a long time ago, It's not about the origin of the word. It's what it means to me in this case. And to me, it means, well, being a slave is someone who doesn't. It's an exploration into the deeper side of being submissive. That's how I see it.
Mm.
Being a slave is definitely being an exploration of a deeper side of submission. So, if we put in basic terms for a lot of people that understand these things, we could say that in life there's only two types of persons: those who are dominant and those who are submissive. And it would be somewhat like that, represented all through nature and universe and etc. There's these two poles of being dominant and being submissive, and being submissive, it just means to submit. It in a kinky relationship or in a DS relationship, being submissive, it doesn't always necessarily mean I'm going to do everything you ask of me. No, it has nothing to do with that. I submit to someone because I feel like I want to make them happy or give them pleasure or enhance their life or give them really great experiences, because I feel they deserve. They can be better than me. They can be the same as me. I just feel like I should do everything for this person, and that to me is submitting. But I am also my own individual, and I have needs and other things that I feel interest for. And at some points, it's possible me and this person we're going to clash on some of these things. And as a submissive, I have a choice to say, but I'm this person, and I'd like to do this. And it's a lot to do with consent as well, because all this kink, BDSM, etc., it has a lot to do with consenting. And I'd say, as a submissive, I have more choice on what I consent and what I don't. And as a slave, I have fewer choices on what I can consent or not. It's like I said previously, it's like I feel like it's a deeper exploration of being submissive.
So can you tell us more about... It's okay. Can you tell us more about why you wanted to share about your eroticism on this podcast and share with others out there about your journey and what you've been through?
Yes, I came to you because I'd like to share a few things that might open the eyes for people out there, because we all like to explore our sexuality. And it is nowadays more important than ever to be very careful and safe about it, because the world is filled with so much, and we know so little. So we need to be careful about these things, because BDSM and kink, it's only recently started to gain some spotlight internationally, on the mainstream. I mean, it is written, it's there, it's on the covers, it's spoken daily freely on the streets, but it has always been about taboo and matters that usually are hard to speak about, that people struggle and hide, because society hasn't always looked at these things openly, and people couldn't always be so free about it. And it's coming to a point where it's actually really good. We see people coming out and speaking about these things more and more, which is really, really good. And that's one of the reasons I'm here. I think people should know that it is good to explore your sexuality, it is good to embrace the things inside of us that make us want to be free and to feel happy. And if in our mind it says we want to do this really kinky, dark thing, and it's going to make us feel really well, it's not just because our life and our small universe tells us we shouldn't do it. I think we still should do it, and just be careful on how you deal with everything around it. If some people live in areas where speaking about these things, it can be dangerous for their lives. So yeah, it's like I say, it's a very big world, and there's a lot of unknown things out there that we don't know. So yeah, embrace your sexuality, just be careful about it. And the reason why I'm saying this is I'm originally from Portugal, and I traveled to the United Kingdom in the search of my kinky dreams, basically. I felt like it was a more open society. People were more open-minded, more up ahead in time in terms of technologies and knowledge and everything. So I felt like I needed to come here. And all the times I came to the United Kingdom was because I met someone online on a fetish website. And after introductions, I came to the United Kingdom to serve them as their submissive. And I've had many experiences doing exactly this. I've lived in several parts of the UK, and I've been here for over 20 years now, and consider it my home, mainly because I've learned so much about it, and from being here, from the persons I served that were British, and I love it here. It's my home now. But the reasons that initially made me come here was exactly that. I always felt like it was a more open mind society, that I would be more free to explore my sexuality. And in a way, I was right, because I am still here, and I've enjoyed and had plenty of experiences since I've came here. But I'm also easily led and influenced, and I had this big belief I want to be the best life I can be, and always trying to get to a darker place or a more deeper connection with someone. So in 2013, I was serving a couple in Ibiza in Spain, and I stayed there for 1 year. At the end of it, I went back to Portugal. I met a gay master from the UK. He brought me here to the UK with him, and I served him for almost a year, which was really good. We had an interesting relationship. And meanwhile, I saw an advert on Color Space website, fetish website, where I actually met most of the persons I've had experiences with, and this advert said pretty much everything I'd ever dreamt with. It was an advert for a 24/7 slave, total power exchange, to be part of a group of people. There was 3 dominant women, several men, some more dominant, some more submissive. It felt like it was like a group, and they wanted to build something, and it felt a bit of a dream. So I sent a message. I applied for this position, and I was accepted. I went for a trial. After the trial, I ended up staying, serving one of the mistresses. And what happened in those 10 years after is it's a very long story.
So you spent 10 years there?
I spent 10 years with these people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're mentioning a few different experiences there in terms of kink in Ibiza, Portugal, the UK. But you mentioned in the podcast form that you've spent the last 4 years celibate. So is that still happening? Are you still being celibate at the moment? And can you tell us more
Yes.
about, like, how did you end up being celibate after that experience?
Well, initially, when I first met these people, I started serving one mistress.
Mm.
And we had sexual relationships, and it was really intense at times. It was really good. I learned a lot. She learned a lot as well, because I was the first slave she ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great experience for both of us, and we both decided that we wanted to leave and build our own relationship outside of this group of people. Once we left, this woman, she was very traumatized for the time she had spent with that group of people, and it was very difficult for me, because I did try, but she was very traumatized. She spent 30 years with this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
She was very traumatized. She wanted nothing to do with BDSM. She wanted nothing to do with anything dark or strange or weird. She just wanted cuddles and her cat, and I was quite happy for it. And I supported her in her life for a good couple of years, and I realized it just wasn't for me. A vanilla relationship doesn't quite fulfill
Mm-hmm.
all my needs, and I did speak with her about it, but she was not interested, and I had to leave that relationship. Eventually, coming back to the same group, and when I came to the group, I started serving another mistress. But that mistress had already, at the moment, she had already a partner, so there was never no sex involved. And I've had no sex or any sexual activity since then.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard at times. It's hard at times, but I will make up for it. At the moment, I spent a few months rebuilding myself from the experience and trying to gather my thoughts and my own individual. And at the moment, I'm doing quite well, and I've met someone that I'm being introduced to and being considered by
Mm-hmm.
to serve, and it's been really good. It's been really good for me, because it's brought me back to this lifestyle.
Mm.
And in terms of celibacy, well, I'm happy, because she's this person I'm serving at the moment. She's a very sexual person, and she's very defiant. She's aware of my bisexuality, and she's already made me meet a few men, which was quite interesting as well. And it's like I say, it's about exploring your sexuality, be
Mm.
open, and be who you want to be. And at the moment, I could say I'm quite happy and enjoying everything I can.
Okay, so
Now,
you mentioned being in this group for 10 years. Now, for the people that are listening, they might not be following along with what's happened for you and your experience, because you've told me a little bit more in the application form and in our brief chat before doing the podcast that you consider this group, I'm assuming it's them, to be a type of cult.
Yes.
So you've actually had experience in a type of sexual cult for 10 years. And is that the reason you decided to be celibate after leaving that experience? You decided that you needed to gain perhaps some sense of control over your sexuality for yourself, or was there something different going on for you?
No, the celibacy started halfway through me being in the cult.
Right.
The first half of me being in this group of people, I didn't even consider it to be a cult then.
Mm-hmm.
I had a different image of all of it. And when I left with what was my mistress then, and after being outside of it and then coming back, when I came back was a completely different experience.
Mm-hmm.
That is when I actually became celibate, and it wasn't out of my own choice. It was out of being used and controlled as a slave. And I ended up seeing that I was only being used.
Yes. Okay.
I was only being used financially.
Right.
I was only being used for many things, but none of them was actual kink. And the kink I've had in the last 4 years with my previous owner were barely non-existent. I'm not saying there wasn't any. There was a few. But when I first joined this group, it all looked so great because they were actually trying to build a dream, and they were already somehow living it. There's a group of 3-4 females and 6 or 7 males, and there was plenty of sexual exploration going. And it's not just about that. It's the chemistry in between everyone was really good. But cults are, in its own nature, destructive. And this is no different. And I only call it a cult now, today, because that is how the leader, the woman that was in charge of this group, put in my mind. She brainwashed me with it. That is a cult. I'm a cult leader. This is a cult. I'm a cult leader. This is a cult. I'm a cult leader. And she said it so many times. This is a very exotic, very interesting person. I mean, someone who studies I don't, but for someone who studies psychology and the behaviors of the mind and how people behave and all those different things, to be in a room closed with this woman, it's like going back to school. You will learn so much about psychology and human behavior just spending an afternoon with this woman. She knows so much. She's a quite interesting person. It's very interesting to spend time in her presence. But yeah, she made me celibate, and I had nothing. I was literally a slave for this last 4 years, and it was such a bad experience that at the end, I struggled. I had to leave somehow, and when I started to realize it was actually a cult, is when I started to realize I could not leave. I couldn't just simply go out the door and freely walk away. So this is what I'm speaking to the people out there when exploring, when making new friends, when meeting people. Just be careful, because we never know who we are giving control to. See, giving away control of your life, of your sexuality, of your own person to someone else is not something to take lightly.
No, and to always make sure that you do have an out and your freedom and autonomy is respected. So, it's a dark subject, but Thank you for highlighting that. It's really important for people to understand the difference between BDSM and abuse. And that's one of the main differences, right? Being able to still be autonomous in the world and act freely.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a dark subject, but I'd like to go more into the cult psychology, if you're okay with that.
Yes.
And I actually found a research article that looked at the psychological impacts of cults on people. Now, it was focusing on their psychology and their sexual development, and it was about children that were brought up in cults. And I recognize that you weren't a child in a cult, it was more as an adult, but I'd still love to hear your opinion on their findings and see if it resonates with your experience and what you're still going through now in the after effects of being in the cult. So the research is titled, I Was Taught to See Sexuality as Something Evil, a qualitative study on the impact of a cult childhood on sexual development. And it looks at how cult ideologies influence members' perception of sexuality, often instilling things like shame, guilt, and confusion. And they interviewed lots of former cult members, and they highlighted how cults often intertwine sexuality with shame and control, which it seems like you had the experience of control a lot. So now you've had some time outside of the cult and you're having experiences with someone new and you're heading towards perhaps having sexual experiences again. I'm wondering, can you reflect on how the cult shaped your understanding of sexuality and desire?
Yeah, I can definitely say something about that. I can say it in two different perspectives because for 6 years, the first 6 years I spent it on the group serving a mistress that I ended up having a romantic and sexual relationship with. As I was saying, the first 6 years I spent it with a mistress on this cult that I ended up having a romantic and sexual relationship with, and that is part of the reason why I ended up leaving the cult with her, and we went to another city and lived together for almost 3 years. And what I learned in those 3 years together with her, because she had been with this group of people since a child, it transformed her sexuality completely. If she had never met the persons in that group, she would have been a complete different person.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see it. She was completely traumatized. After she left the group with me, she barely could even touch the subject.
Mm.
If we had an active sexual relationship when we were at the cult, and it was difficult at times because of exactly that, we being there, when we left, it just decreased to almost nothing because of the trauma and what it did to her. Because as a child, her sexual exploration was used in order to bring her closer and to be led on by another person.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that to be in the cult is it can be traumatic in many ways, but to shape your sexuality and to shape who you are, it means a lot. It does say a lot. For me, for example, I was a very sexually active person before these 10 years. And once I joined them, it just decreased until it was non-existent. And in fact, I believe it does somehow relate to the study you were speaking about, because
Mm.
I don't feel ashamed of sexuality, but it does feel like more of a closed subject to me than it was before.
Mm.
And like, for me, being here speaking about it is actually really good. Uh, I've been trying to embrace again sexuality, so to say, because it's like I say, as a teenager and on my 20s, 30s, I was always a very actively sexual person.
Mm.
And joining this cult, it changed that completely. It
Mm.
changed my perception of it. Uh, it made me more open to different things. I can say that it made me open to other sexual things, and maybe it also helped me in a way because it made me focus more on kink and not just sex.
Mm.
And that for me was good because I do take my lifestyle very serious, and I devote myself as much as I do to my owner than I do to myself.
Mm.
Because if I don't devote myself to my own person and to grow, then I'm not really good to serve anyone. That's always been my belief.
Mm.
But being in this group, people, this cult, it changed that
Mm.
a lot. It changed it a lot.
Mm. Thank you for sharing. The research also mentions the challenge of trusting intimacy after cult experiences. How have you approached building this new relationship post cult, and what has been most healing for you in that process?
It's been it's been very difficult. I'd say the
Mm.
first few months when I first left, I struggled for a bit. I felt lost and without purpose.
Mm.
It was really difficult. But a few months after, I could say I'm really happy, and I'm a very lucky person. It's all I can say. I am who I am. I can't do anything for it. I always try to better myself, but that's a fact. I was lucky. I met really good persons since then. I've made some very good friends, and I've learned to rebuild my individuality in a way.
Mm.
Uh, Whoever I was before I joined this cult is still part of me, but I've learned being there all these 10 years, and now I can move forward with all that I've learned and who I am,
Mm.
and making myself better and living better.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoying life, I suppose.
So, would you say you're in a process of reclamation such that you're reclaiming your authentic sexuality at the moment?
Definitely,
Mm.
definitely, yeah.
How does that
Uh,
feel?
it feels amazing. It feels amazing.
Mm.
I'm still struggling with being openly uh, public about it, and it's
Mm.
not something that I ever had problems with.
Mm.
Uh, but yes, these 10 years I've been brainwashed with so many things,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them was that meeting other people and having friends and having other relationships is bad for you.
Mm.
And I mean, it's not how I feel, but it is how I act in a way because of the constant batter of psychological attack I've gone through. uh, I still struggle in many ways, but yeah, it's been really good. I'm very, very lucky. I met really good persons, and it's been amazing to grow and to feel all these new things because they feel new in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I'm embracing a new self, and it feels amazing.
Yeah, the people you have around you change everything about your life, whether or not it feels like
Yeah.
a positive or negative experience. So I'm really happy that you've been able to find good people and you're integrating the experience and reclaiming your power. So, yeah, I'm really happy for you, and I hope that that continues as well as it can.
Thank you, thank you. It does help.
As part of our conversation today, Sergio, I asked you to also bring along something that you wanted to share, such as a quote, book, movie, anything, just something that has influenced your sexuality. Can you share with us what you've brought along today and how it shaped your understanding of your erotic realm?
I can definitely say a thing or two. So I will say this too. So the first one is a bit of a history, background history for myself. I think the first ever recollection I have of any thought of any kind to do with kink or anything different was when I was around 5. And I was going to the capital of Portugal, Lisbon, on a train. And at that time, the train wouldn't pass the river in Lisbon on the bridge, so you'd have to stop before the river, come out the train, get onto a boat, a ferry, cross the river, and then you'd be in Lisbon. And I remember, I was definitely around 5 years old, and I was going with my father, giving him my hand. We're walking up the docks, coming out of the boat in Lisbon, and I saw this tall man. He had strange clothes. I'd say what would be at that time like a punk or similar, but he did have a collar around his neck, and that to me it just wowed me. I was like, wow, what's that? So I asked my father, it's like, oh, Dad, why does that man have that thing around his neck? And he looked at me baffled. He didn't know what to say. He said, oh, Dad, oh, don't worry about that. That's just people sometimes have different tastes in things and life. I'm like, oh, okay. And that moment, I will never forget it because I think it triggered something in me. That looked cool. It looked different. I couldn't put the place in how can I say it? I couldn't know what it meant or what it was until much later on. But when I did, and I connected the dots, I was like, oh wow, so that guy must have had something to do with this. Oh, this is really cool. Oh, okay. So when I had that memory that I will never forget, seeing that man with the collar on the street, and must have been a few years later. I think my mother, she had an illustrated book, the Book of O, and I used to steal it and look through it, and it amazed me. It was such an experience to look at that book. So I'm like, wow, it all looks so interesting. So yes, I've always had this big interest in exploring sexually, exploring myself, exploring life, and having all sorts of different experiences.
Yeah, it's fascinating how we can have these experiences when we're young and we don't really understand the meaning or the power of those situations until much later in life. And sometimes you just have that aha moment and you get it. It's really fascinating when that happens. I wanted to ask you about the Shakespearean quote that you have on your profile. It's, being your slave, what should I do but tend upon the hours and times of your desire? I have no precious time at all to spend, nor services to do to you require. Can you share with us why that's on your profile? Why does that quote speak to you, and what does it mean for you?
It means that it's funny. It might not have anything to do with what most people would think, because you look at it. It's a sentence from Shakespeare, and it says this, that. Well, the fact is that the sentence does not say much to me at all. Now, the fact that it is from Shakespeare, that's what it says to me, because it's someone that lived a few centuries back that was writing things about submission in a way, and that to me is like, I love that, and that's what I put, because that's in part who I am.
So it normalizes it for you in a way, because it shows that people have always been interested in these things, even intellectuals. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I understand. I feel the same way. Fascinating. So, I'm curious now about the difference between being in a cult and your current exploration of BDSM. Could you tell us more about how your concept of rituals from your past has shaped your approach to BDSM practices?
My concept of can you rephrase that? I felt lost for a second there.
That's okay. I just think we talked at one moment about the rituals that happened for you in the cult. And
yes.
Yeah, I'm wondering if you could speak to how that shaped how you focus on BDSM rituals now, because I imagine you're still interested in rituals in BDSM. Is that correct?
Well, yes, but there is a dilemma. It's these rituals. These rituals is mainly because this group was in part a spiritual group, and therefore there would be spiritual rituals. And embedded on those spiritual rituals were at times sexual activities. So there's two ways of me looking at it. There's the rituals that were of spiritual belief, and a group of people gathered together for a purpose, and that we'd call it a ritual. And there's rituals on that I would call the same rituals, but daily things that happened daily without ever changing. And I would see that as a ritual as well, because it is somewhat sacred. It's coming home, going on my knees, kissing my mistress' feet, and being collared, and taking my clothes off. Now, that ritual, I think a lot of people are probably acquainted with it in a way, and it's quite good. Now, spiritual rituals within a cult, wow, that's a whole different matter. Like I said, it could even include sexual activities. It's a complete different matter.
I understand. I'd like to ask you a slightly more fun question now.
Yes.
Can you share with us a peak sexual or kink experience that you've had?
Well, that's a difficult one.
What there might be quite a few. When I ask you the question, is there a particular experience that comes to mind that you'd like to share with us?
Is.
Yep.
I think that will always be. I had this relationship with an American girl when I was in my 20s, and we lived together in Lisbon. And I think most of the best experiences I've had was with this girl. We had a really nice relationship. We also met through what was then Color Me, and we started off with a DS relationship, and very soon enough it was a romantic relationship with DS involved, so it was a bit crazy at times. And definitely the best sexual experience I can ever recall and will always remember is a lot to do with the person and the location. And I think that speaks to a lot of people, because the best memories we have in life are often small things that would be unnoticeable most of the time. But because they are so special with that one person in that one moment, we'll never forget it, right? And that to me was one of those moments. One night, I think we spent the whole night on the roof terrace of a big flat building. It must have had like 9-10 floors. It's a massive avenue coming down from the hills of Lisbon. So we're on top of the avenue, on the rooftop. It's a summer night. It's actually really hot. You could see all the stars. You could see the whole city from there. And we're just naked on top of the building. And we spent the whole night there drinking and having sex. And I think that was definitely one of the best experiences I've ever had. And there was some really crazy and interesting ones, but that will always be the one most dearest to me, and the one that I will least easily forget.
So was it the mixture of nature and freedom and nakedness that was what made it stick out as a peak experience for you?
I would say because it was intensely a submissive experience, even though it was very sexual. It was a very sexual experience. I mean, we spent the whole night on the rooftop, and it's just basically me pleasuring her. And that to me, it says a lot, because if it could have been just anything else different, I could imagine myself and the same girl on the same rooftop on a vanilla relationship having sex, and it wouldn't feel the same.
Yep, I understand.
So it's to do with the dynamics and the moments.
Thank you for sharing.
It was quite intense, really good.
We also have a tradition on the podcast where I ask you a question that's been sent in from a listener. Today, I thought it would be good to get your perspective on this one. What was your first step into the BDSM lifestyle once you realised your interest in it?
The first step. I went to a party. That for me was my first. I want to be part of this. I went to a party. Actually, I think I saw it on FetLife.
Yep. So an official event.
It was an official event. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I think somewhere 15, 20 years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but I still speak with people that were on that party. Is for me it was a big moment. I mean, I had then met 2-3 persons. One I met in real life, the other ones were just online. It was just a bit of experimenting and learning and researching about all this lifestyle that I didn't quite know about. And I saw these events, and there weren't actually many at that time. It was and it's really good. It changed it changed a lot in me because, for one, I figured there was a bigger world to be explored in a way. It's always better to do this and experience it with someone else other than on your own. I mean, nowadays I look how much of BDSM you can do on your own. There's tutorials and all sorts of manuals for you to do BDSM on your own, but it's not something to be experienced on your own. You can, obviously, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it is meant to be shared with other people and to be lived with other people. And so for me to go to this party and freely express that publicly and everyone there doing exactly the same just felt great, right? This is what everyone does, amazing. Well, soon enough I figured out it's not like that, because at that time in my country it was not completely out there. People still struggled. I mean, especially even nowadays, there's a lot of people that cannot be connected to this lifestyle because of their professions, for example. So if it still happens today, it happened then. But then was even worse. People were more shaded and hidden if they wanted to be living this lifestyle. And it took me like a decade to learn that in Portugal, even though there are a lot of persons interested in the lifestyle, there are very, very few people who actually live it 24/7. I mean, it's a number that's been growing exponentially over the last few decades. I will not lie, but when I first started in Portugal, it was a very small number, and I met a lot of those persons, and yes, it was. It wasn't something lived daily. It was just at an event or a special occasion or one night with the partner at home. And for me, I always wanted it like a full-time thing. So that's one of the reasons that took me to search elsewhere. And I came to England and I somehow found it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really happy for you, Sergio. So before we end today's chat, is there anything else you'd like to share about sexuality, cults, kink? Is there anything else on your mind that you'd like to share with everyone?
Well, I would just like to thank you for the opportunity, because it's really nice to be here, and it helps in a way to speak about these things, even for myself, but it helps for other people that listen to it, and maybe they can learn something out of it, or they can know something that they didn't know before. And if there is something I can say, please don't take this wrong. I don't mean it wrong, but do not join any cults if you think in any way is going to enhance your sexual life or give you a tremendous dream experience, or if it's going to make you feel like you have a purpose. Or just do not join a cult, because most cults, like I said, have a destructive nature, and whatever is that cult fights for or believes in, you can do so much better on your own. And just be careful out there when exploring, experiencing, and meeting new people. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think our chat will definitely help others, and you've shone a light on a darker aspect of sexuality that really isn't spoken about a lot. So I thank you for that. The last question I have for you today is just to get you to think about your journey, everything we've spoken about. If I was to ask you to sum up your sexuality in just one word, Sergio, what would that word be?
Defiant.
Defiant. I love it. I'd like to thank you for being so open and sharing yourself with me and our listeners today, Sergio.
No worries. It's my pleasure. It's been a pleasure to be here speaking with you.
Thank you again. I'm Em, and this has been the Erotic Realm podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please follow and rate the show as it helps us reach more people like you. The Erotic Realm is also expanding rapidly right now. We're now listened to in 117 countries. If you or someone you know would like to sponsor this growing project, especially if you're based in the US, I'd love to hear from you. Sponsorship inquiries can be directed through my Substack, linked below, or by contacting me directly through my website, psychologyofdesire.com. Thank you for supporting independent erotic psychology. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, I'm always looking for new people to chat to. Head to psychologyofdesire.com to apply. Thanks for listening, and as always, stay perverted.